2019 Hyundai Kona SUV review. Named after the district in Hawaii, the Hyundai Kona joins the Korean firm's SUV range below the Tucson and Santa Fe. For the time being, the Kona slots alongside the similar size X20 compact MPV. It boasts much more modern styling along with a bolder SUV-style stance. It also provides customers a significantly broader number of powertrains, with diesel and electrically powered Konas joining the product range in mid-2019 to fit the existing petrol versions. Hyundai Kona crossover takes focus on Nissan Juke. It's a fast-growing crossover sector which the Kona joins. Sized to contest with Nissan's Juke and also the Vauxhall Crossland X, combined with Peugeot 2008 and Renault Captur as well as the Mazda CX-3, the Kona faces stiff competition. Tough new rivals are the Citroën and Citroën C3 Aircross, using the AMG ZS and also other models through the Volkswagen Group arriving later. Another competitor is available in the form from the Kona's sister model, the Kia Stonic, which shares its petrol engines and many other technology underneath the skin. Majoring on style, the Kona features controversial styling that some drivers will like and others will hate, just like the Nissan Juke, which spearheaded the little crossover sector, in the deliberate turn to draw new buyers towards the brand. The smoother nose style of the Kona Electric is less polarizing. This is a car for Hyundai, because it continues quite a few new visual themes, introduced within the latest generation i30 hatchback, albeit having a radical Citroën-esque vibe. It rides with a modified version in the i20 hatchback's platform that's shared together with the closely related Stonic. Wide array of petrol and diesel engines, and also a dual-clutch automatic option. The Kona comes that has a range of turbocharged engines, comprising 1.0-litre and 1.6-litre petrols plus, by summer 2019, a 1.6-litre diesel by 50% power outputs. Cheapest will be the 1.0-litre 120 horsepower petrol, even though the most economical could be the lesser diesel engine with 115 horsepower. Meanwhile, the strongest, the 177 horsepower 1.6-litre petrol, incorporates all-wheel drive plus a dual-clutch automatic gearbox as standard, and it is capable of accelerating to 62 miles per hour in a very brisk 7.9 seconds, compared to 12.0 seconds for that 1.0-litre. The 1.0-litre, conversely, comes having a 6-speed manual gearbox and front-wheel drive, so does the 115 horsepower diesel. As you move, the 136 horsepower diesel will provide standard using a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. All engines happen to be tuned for low engine speed punch to be easy to operate a vehicle with palatable fuel economy. Expect just above 50 miles per gallon to the 1.0-litre petrol and easily under 40 miles per gallon in the 1.6-litre. Figures for the diesels are going to be announced more detailed and arriving in showrooms. Channeling its power for the road, the Kona include chunky alloy wheels as much as 18 inches in diameter for the rugged look. Reasonably high ground clearance of 170 mm for your Kona shows that you should be rather less likely to scrape the lower of this Hyundai when negotiating steep, bumpy driveways or still dropping rutted campsite roads than that has a conventional hatchback. Long range for Hyundai Kona Electric. Closely following your diesel engine Konas into the market in mid-2019, the Kona Electric is undoubtedly an entirely different proposition. Superficially, its styling differs from the others inside and out, using a smoother nose and reprofiled bumpers. As you move, the dashboard continues to be altered to accommodate a high-set center console, with push-button controls for the transmission in place of a regular automatic gear lever. There are two different power and battery capacity versions on the Kona Electric. Entry point could be the 39 kWh battery that has a 136 horsepower electric motor that has a claimed variety of up to 194 miles. More headline-grabbing may be the 64 kWh Kona Electric paired, which has a 204 horsepower electric motor. Here the claimed range is 300 miles. Kona gets serious outside plus in. It looks striking on the outside of the slim day running lights, DRLs, undoubtedly are a new Hyundai feature, neatly house incorporated turn signals, and they are positioned inside a stack, separate towards the full LED headlamps that come as standard for the top spec models. At the rear, you recruit a set of LED lamps on range-topping models, together with the slim tail lights being supplemented by separate clusters housing the brake lights, indicators and reversing lamps. It's an identical arrangement for what it employed around the Kia Sportage. It's decluttered inside, which has a split-level dashboard that leaves the touchscreen media system display appearing to float above it. It's a setup that debuted from the i10 and i30, and which simplifies how heating, ventilation and AC controls work. Hyundai has become working difficult to perfect the ergonomic experience with its mainstream cars. What personalization choices there? Like the Nissan Juke, the Hyundai Kona enables you to personalize the car with bright paint colors, contrasting roof tones and zingy interior trim. Buyers consider a wide selection of hues including lime green and bright orange to make their car get noticed. On the interior, colored stitching and similarly saturated accents for the steering wheel, about the gear lever and about the seat belts should assist you to tailor the Kona on your tastes. What tech will you get inside the Hyundai Kona? There's every one of the safety equipment you'd anticipate finding in an all-new family SUV, although half of it is only positioned on top-spec models or for an optional extra. The top model receives autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, rear cross-traffic alert, RCTA, and high beam assist, HBA. Meanwhile, lane keeping assist, LKA, and driver attention alert, DA, feature across the product range. You also get blind spot detection about the top models along that has a head-up display, HUD, which projects driving information into the window screen while you drive, to check the 8.0-inch infotainment screen designed to these versions. Hyundai claims how the head-up computer screen remains perfectly visible, it doesn't matter how bright everything is outside. The 7.0-inch and 8.0-inch units also support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Finally, you are able to cut down interior clutter further with wireless smartphone charging, although that's only for the priciest trim levels, equally well if your mobile doesn't support it. And audiophiles should appreciate the 8-speaker Krell audio system fitted on the top half of the number for better music quality. Other luxury kit can be purchased in the form of the heated controls and electric front seat adjustment plus heated and ventilated seats for greater security in extreme temperatures, though again you'll ought to choose one of the stove-topping models to acquire these. Cheaper 1.0-litre petrol is successful. 1.6-litre petrol noisy with dim-witted automatic. Diesel and all-electric models conveniently obtainable. Kona drivers have a very choice between two turbocharged petrol engines, using a pair of diesels and two electric models arriving in mid-2019 to flesh out the lineup. The two diesel engines make less sense in some recoverable format, as they're very likely to cost more, in cash and finance terms, somewhat cancelling out any economy benefits. On the other hand, even though the Kona electric models have the top in the pricing structure, they give a range of up to 300 miles on single charge. Hyundai Kona, petrol engines. The cheapest Kona comes that has a turbocharged 1.0-litre engine. It may be small, but this motor does a fantastic job of hauling the compact Kona around. In comparison, the 1.6-litre turbocharged petrol constitutes a lot more noise, but doesn't believe that much faster, thanks for the combination of heavy standard fit all-wheel drive and also a listless automatic gearbox. Pick 1.0-litre TGDI turbo petrol engine. Not only may be the 1.0-litre the most cost-effective Kona engine choice, additionally, it seems the top fit to the car. Ignore the engine's minute size. A turbocharger makes sure that this motor comes with a reasonable quantity of shove from low engine speeds, with 120 horsepower and 172 Nm of torque on tap. Taking 12.0 seconds to amble to 62 miles per hour, the Kona, however, does take yet another 2 seconds possibly even to hit the benchmark speed than rivals, for example the equivalent 1.0-litre petrol Citroën. Its top speed weighs 112 miles per hour, somewhat dented with the car's bluff aerodynamics. So if acceleration is vital to you, or else you often carry a lot of passengers or heavy luggage, similarly priced rivals have an overabundance of to offer. It registers well and community. It's not as fast in riding as rivals, still feels adequately nippy for most driving. The gear change can be very slick, meaning it's no hardship to need to shift between your gears to keep speed on steeper roads, or when about to overtake. Helping to produce the 1.0-litre engine an excellent fit for that car is its smoothness and reasonably muted noise levels. This signifies that you can arrange it hard, because you need to accomplish for brisk acceleration, without feeling strained. Claimed fuel economy, meanwhile, is 52.3 miles per gallon for those 1.0-litre models, bar the entry-level S version, which includes smaller, lighter wheels, at 54.3 miles per gallon. While official figures in many cases are not very realistic, the significantly faster 115 horsepower 1.0-litre Citroën returns figures around 3 to 5 miles per gallon higher in the majority of cases. We'll avoid 1.6-litre TGDI turbo petrol engine. The 1.6-litre petrol engine feels a lot less suited for the Kona. Despite having around 50% more power, with 177 horsepower and 265 Nm available, in addition, it has to haul around a great deal more weight, thanks for the addition associated with an automatic gearbox and standard fit all-wheel drive. That signifies that despite a 0 to 62 miles per hour time that drops into a nippy 7.9 seconds, it feels somewhat underwhelming in normal driving. Part of the is down for the automatic gearbox, which isn't as slick or quick to reply as units in rivals such as Citroën. Of a few driving modes available using the automatic gearbox, Sports, Normal and Eco, these two don't appear to make much difference, but placed the former helps to make the transmission a great deal more responsive. This Kona are able to keep going until 127 miles per hour, much more than you'll ever need on UK roads, though again, the boxy styling means this can be less than you'd expect within a similarly sized hatchback with all the same power. This signifies that you can expect acceleration to tail off at higher speeds weighed against sleeker alternatives. Meanwhile, the heavy all-wheel drive system feels unnecessary for any car similar to this, and that is likely to spend extremely little, if any, time away road, plus it adds numerous its own disadvantages. Claimed fuel economy drops into a poor 42.2 miles per gallon thanks on the automatic all-wheel drive combination. This lags way behind quite a few larger, stronger and four-wheel drive automatic petrol models, such as the Audi Q3 Off-Roader and BMW 3 Series Touring Estate. Worse than this, the 1.6-litre petrol is available in range-topping form, so that it is extraordinarily expensive to get a car in this particular class, around £25,000. Yes, it's stuffed with every one of the equipment you'll be able to want, but we'd expect a far more refined engine and slicker automatic gearbox to the money. Hyundai Kona, diesel engines. Two 1.6-litre diesel variants are for sale in 115 horsepower and 136 horsepower form. And while neither could be seen as much, respective torque figures of 280 and 320 Nm mean there's ample pulling power being offered from both engines. 0 to 62 miles per hour inside 115 horsepower model is covered in 10.7 seconds, dropping slightly to 10.2 inside 136 horsepower version. Top speeds, meanwhile, also comes in at 114 miles per hour and 119 miles per hour. Regardless one's diesel you opt for, you'll get largely the identical driving experience. That means reasonable refinement, decent throttle response, for any diesel, and enough performance for frequent motorway driving. Hyundai Kona are electric, range of 2 battery versions. Of the Konas we've driven, this is the smooth and refined electric versions which may have impressed us by far the most. That has a driving experience that wrestles away the Nissan Leaf's crown as being the very best mainstream battery electric vehicle, BEV. Both Kona electrics possess a single-speed transmission that's selected using a push-button arrangement within the high-rise center console. Entry point with the Kona electric range may be the 39 kWh version, with 136 horsepower and 395 Nm of torque available instantly. Top speed is bound to 96 miles per hour. As you move, the 0 to 62 miles per hour acceleration benchmark takes 9.7 seconds. Hyundai claims a 194-mile range, while a complete recharge with a 7 kWh domestic wallbox should take around 6 hours. More interesting could be the punchier 64 kWh version, using a 204 horsepower electric motor. Big torque is identical on the 39 kWh mode. Top speed is simply 104 miles per hour. However, the 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint is managed in just 7.6 seconds. More impressive is Hyundai's 300-mile claimed range, but bear in mind, as the battery is really a lot larger inside the 64 kWh version, a complete recharge takes around 9.5 hours. Gearbox and all-wheel drive choices. The entry-level 1.0-litre petrol and 115 horsepower 1.6-litre diesel comes with a standard fit 6-speed manual gearbox, even though the 1.6-litre petrol and higher-powered diesel is available, which has a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox and all-wheel drive. The diesel models, however, should be provided by power going towards the front wheels, as well as a manual gearbox or perhaps an automatic all-wheel drive combination. As for your electric Kona, it will get an automatic gearbox, too. Satisfying drive with good comfort. Nicely weighted steering. Not excessive body roll. The taller an automobile is, the worse it generally takes corners, with additional body roll, or stiffer suspension required to keep it manageable, so most small SUVs are handicapped within the handling department weighed against ordinary superminis. The Kona, however, acquits itself well on twisty roads, with all the precise steering generally providing an excellent sense of simply how much grip is level. Nonetheless, it can feel quite firm about the bumpiest of roads. On smooth roads, the vehicle soaks up bumps imperceptibly, though. Yes, the suspension is stiff, however it's been well built. As an end result, the 1.0-litre Kona drives like a significantly larger car. As you move, the steering is light in normal driving, but weights up nicely around bends. Drive it fast, however, so you get less feedback with the steering as to what the front tires are around. It's definitely happier with ordinary driving compared to higher speed driving. The 1.6-litre petrol provides much the same feel for the steering, though if something, the suspension isn't quite as settled over rougher tarmac, potentially as a result of this being by far and away the heavier model. It's pretty good, but it really lacks a little on the comfort found from the 1.0-litre. Another downside is available in the form of handling, which is no sharper, in spite of the substantial number of additional power. As an outcome, you're prone to find yourself at the edge from the 1.6's grip faster than in smaller engine models. Consequently, anyone expecting the 1.6-litre petrol to feel sporty is going to be disappointed. Detracting through the driving experience somewhat in both cases are large rear pillars, which mean you have to take more care than supposed to safely change lanes. How does the Hyundai Kona electric drive? Some hybrid and fully electric cars feel somewhat unusual they are driving, with anesthetized controls, not so using the Kona electric. It's not necessarily the sort of car that may sate those searching for driving thrills, but it really corners neatly, with well-judged weighting for the steering, displaying little body roll when you navigate around sweeping bends. You can thank battery location within the seats and boot for bestowing it using a low center of gravity. As it's fitted having a single-speed automatic transmission, there is not any danger associated with an unsettling mid-corner gear change interrupting your progress, and as the brakes are employed to recuperate electric energy, they feel a lot more conventional and substantial than those in the Nissan Leaf. There's also an opportunity to vary the amount of brake energy recuperation to just 1 of 4 steps. With no recuperation, the Kona will coast until it runs out of momentum, but for the highest level it may be driven to be a one-pedal car. Lifting over accelerator activates the brakes. Cabin feels solid and well built. Good driving position which has a supportive seat. Reasonable quality touch screen. With high quality materials, a great feel to everything and also a reasonably slick design, the Kona feels more upmarket than you may expect. However, select one on the top trim levels, since you need to obtain equipment like sat-nav, and it is also pricier than you could expect. So, even though the Kona comfortable to wear inside, it genuinely should do considering the amount of most buyers can be paying. Despite a high-mounted touchscreen multimedia system, the lining is quite plain. Yes, you are able to choose bright-colored trim to the seat, tire and gear lever stitching, dashboard trim, seatbelts and air vents, but this can be very much a bland interior plastered in shiny trim. This differs from models, for example the Nissan Juke, where you'll be able to get large swathes of color, for example the huge transmission tunnel, that may be specified in numerous highlighter grade hues. There's more color variation inside the Kona Electric, that is further differentiated from the higher level with the center console. As the Electric doesn't require the standard gear lever, its place is taken by way of a collection of buttons to pick out the transmission mode. Most crossover drivers will likely be perfectly happy together with the interior in the Kona. In case you expect the personalization options to provide you using a zany, high-vis finish, you may well be disappointed here. The 8.0-inch media system designed to top-spec models is successful, which has a clear, crisp display. It does, however, often seem keen to zoom out between sat-nav instructions, making it tough to simply look into the map to see the next direction. Similarly, connecting a cell phone to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity works reasonably well, however the map isn't as clear mainly because it could be, meaning you need to be somewhat more on the toes to help keep on top of where you're going through the map alone. Thankfully, Hyundai has included several shortcut buttons, many different functions across the media screen, including radio, media connections, map and sat-nav displays. This makes it much simpler to switch between functions around the move than forcing you make use of the touch screen. There may also be numerous buttons about the steering wheel for taking advantage of much on the standard kit. The sheer number can make it tricky to quickly pick the button you wish by feel, but you'd quickly become accustomed to this when living with all the car. Aside on the market, within the inland northwest other controls around the dashboard, making these an easy task to navigate when driving. Comfortable seats. Decent refinement. Tightly controlled ride quality. Yes, the Kona may handle tidily around corners, using the tightly controlled suspension keeping together with body roll, however it's still admirably comfortable. We found the top seats particularly beautiful, with lots of side and back support and electric lumbar adjustment for providing greater support on your lower back, on all bar the entry-level model. Whatever shape or size you happen to be, therefore, you have to be able to find a cozy driving position. In fact, it does not take lower spec models with cloth seats which offer probably the most comfortable seats. The suspension, conversely, is stiffer than the majority of its rival setups. It's firm, therefore you notice it on roads which aren't well maintained and packed with potholes. It's never too uncomfortable. Nevertheless, it's certainly a rather harsher ride than something being a Citroën or Renault Captur. Overall refinement levels are particularly high with the 1.0-litre, 2, with little wind or engine noise being audible within the cabin, even at motorway speeds. It's a new story for that 1.6-litre petrol. The ride feels less smooth. When accelerating hard, the engine becomes extremely coarse to get a brand new car. The engine feels well below par. Switch towards the diesel, however, and engine noise is perfectly acceptable. When driven normally there's little inside the way of any harsh diesel clattering sound, plus it only becomes coarse when revved hard. Best from the lot are definitely the Kona electric models, which prove quiet and refined. In truth, most with the time the sole external noise you're aware about is from your tires on rougher roads and from wind turbulence caused with the door mirrors. Entry-level trims lack desirable kit. Top models loaded with kit but pricey. Premium offers best combination kit and value. Buyers can select between 5 trim levels at launch: S, SE, Premium, Premium SE and Premium GT. While base models get lots of desirable equipment, sat-nav is notably absent for the first 2 trim levels, meaning you ought to spend more compared to most rivals for getting a car with mapping. Pay more to the pricey top-spec versions and perhaps they are bursting with equipment. Standard Hyundai Kona equipment. The Hyundai Kona S gets air conditioning, electric back and front windows, driver's seat height adjustment, 5.0-inch LCD display media system, Bluetooth, DAB radio, USB connection, cruise control, electric heated wing mirrors, automatic headlights, lane keep assist, 16-inch alloy wheels. Step within the Hyundai Kona A4. 7.0-inch touchscreen media system, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, rear parking sensors and reversing camera, 17-inch alloy wheels, roof rails, fog lamps, driver's seat electric lumbar support. Upgrade towards the Hyundai Kona Premium, meanwhile, 4. 8.0-inch touchscreen media system with sat-nav, wireless phone charging, 18-inch alloy wheels, climate control, automatic windscreen wipers, tinted rear windows, keyless entry and keyless ignition, uprated 8-speaker head unit. The Kona Premium SE adds leather upholstery, electric front seats, heated and ventilated front seats, heated tire, front parking sensors, electric folding wing mirrors, head-up display. The range-topping Hyundai Kona 1.6 TGDI 177 horsepower is accessible only in Premium GT form, which adds full LED headlights with high beam assist, safety pack including autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian recognition. Hyundai Kona, optional extras. Hyundai typically doesn't offer many choices on its cars, and that's the situation here. Apart from selecting colored interior trim, it is possible to select metallic paint, a sunroof, a two-tone roof and autonomous emergency braking. Hyundai's decision to not fit autonomous emergency braking as standard on any from the 1.0-litre petrol models is disappointing, but within the auspices of Euro NCAP, if this crash tested the Kona, it didn't stop it scoring an entire 5-star rating. Yes, you are able to pay £235 at launch to acquire EV, but we presume that Hyundai has its own priorities skewed somewhat, considering unnecessary toys being a heated tire and ventilated seats in the future as standard on some models. Standard Hyundai Kona safety kit: 6 airbags, ABS, a driver attention alert system and electronic stability control as standard, as is also a lane keeping system. Additional equipment fitted on the 1.6-litre petrol include autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian recognition, rear cross-traffic alert and blind spot detection. The further back you go inside the Kona, the less room there may be. Even the tallest of drivers must be able to find a snug driving position with lots of head and legroom offered. There's plenty of seat adjustment, along with the mirrors give an excellent view from the road behind. Large rear pillars make interior a bit darker PC could be though, and limit over-the-shoulder visibility when changing lanes. The rear seats, however, are notably tighter. Yes, you need to be able to fit 4 6-footers within the Kona, but those from the rear seats probably won't be too happy regarding it. Legroom might be a tight and headroom way more for taller passengers. Thankfully, the back seats are very comfortable, with good back support available. Ignore its boxy looks. The Kona is a pretty compact car, therefore you shouldn't have much trouble parking. The rear pillars, however, are large, making tight maneuvering more challenging than it really should be, especially in models that lack rear parking sensors and also a reversing camera. The raised driving position provides a reasonable good view ahead, though, so gauging the place that the front on the car is should prove less challenging. Boot volume is adequate, though the back with the Kona is notably smaller compared to alternatives such as Citroën, which provides 400 liters compared together with the Kona's 334. There can be an underfloor tray which adds a little bit of practicality, but that is shallow but not particularly useful.